right, let's dive into this deep dive. We're going to explore the fascinating world of anatomy and physiology. Perfect if you're just starting an access to higher education course.
Yeah.
We're going to be using a couple of great resources for this.
Okay.
We've got Anatomy and Physiology by Open Sachs and Human Biology by Karen Reed.
Great.
So think of this as your, cheat sheet for understanding how your body works, this incredible machine.
That's a great way to put it. And in this deep dive, we'll explore both the intricate structure of the human body, which is anatomy,
Okay.
and we'll delve into the fascinating world of its functions, which is physiology.
So anatomy is kind of like an owner's manual,
Exactly.
showing you all the parts and pieces.
Yeah. And physiology is like a driving lesson.
Ah.
It explains how to use those parts to make the machine move.
Okay.
But here's the thing. You can't truly understand how to drive a car without knowing what's under the hood, right?
Right.
In the same way, the form of a body part is intricately linked to its function.
Okay, so it's not just about, memorizing names and diagrams. It's about understanding how it all works together.
Exactly.
Can you give me an example of how form and function are connected?
Sure. So think about the human eye. It's got this intricate structure with the cornea, lens, iris, and retina, and it's all perfectly designed to capture light and send signals to the brain, which allows us to see. The shape and arrangement of these parts are crucial for the eye's ability to focus, to adjust to different light levels, and to perceive color.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like each part of the body is kind of like a specialized tool designed for a specific job.
Exactly. And just like with any complex machine, the human body is organized in levels, from the tiniest components to the whole organism, and we call this the levels of organization.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Where do we even begin with these levels of organization?
Well, we start with the smallest building blocks of matter,
Okay.
atoms and molecules. These tiny particles combine to form cells, which are the fundamental units of life.
So cells are like the basic Lego bricks that everything else is built from.
That's a great analogy. Each cell has a specific structure and function, and they work together in groups called tissues, such as muscle tissue or nervous tissue. And just like different types of Lego bricks can be used to create different structures.
Right, I'm starting to see the pattern here.
Yeah.
What happens after tissues?
So different tissues then combine to form organs, such as the heart, lungs, or stomach. Each of these organs has a specialized structure and function and performs a specific role in the body.
So it's like a well-coordinated team with each organ playing its part.
Yeah.
What's next in this hierarchy?
Okay. So multiple organs then work together in organ systems.
Okay.
For instance, the heart, blood vessels, and blood make up the cardiovascular system, which is responsible for circulating blood throughout your body.
So it's like a chain of command, with each level building on the one before it.
Precisely. And finally, all these organ systems work together to form the complete organism. It's mind-blowing how all these levels of organization come together to create a functioning human being. It is indeed. And to keep this complex machine running smoothly, our bodies have an incredible ability to maintain internal balance, even when the external environment changes. And this is what we call homeostasis.
Okay, homeostasis. It sounds important. Can you break it down for me? What does it actually mean for our bodies?
Sure. Imagine you're walking through a desert on a scorching hot day.
Okay.
So your body temperature starts to rise, right?
Yeah.
But your internal systems kick in to cool you down sweating, for example. That's homeostasis in action. It's your body's way of maintaining a stable internal environment.
So it's like a thermostat, keeping your house at a comfortable temperature.
Exactly. Your body is constantly monitoring factors like temperature, blood pressure, and blood sugar levels.
Okay.
And it makes adjustments as needed to keep them within a healthy range.
So it's all about keeping things in that Goldilocks zone.
Yeah.
Not too hot, not too cold, but just right.
Exactly.
That's pretty amazing. But how does the body actually know when to make those adjustments?
Right.
What's the communication system?
That's where feedback loops come in. Think of them as information highways within your body, constantly sending messages back and forth.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about these feedback loops. How do they work?
Well, there are two main types, negative and positive feedback loops.
Okay.
Let's start with negative feedback, as it's the most common way our bodies maintain homeostasis.
All right, let's dive into negative feedback. Give me an example I can relate to.
Okay, so think about how you regulate your body temperature when you exercise.
Okay.
As you work out, your muscles generate heat, causing your body temperature to rise.
Right.
Specialized receptors in your skin and brain detect this change and send a signal to your brain's control center, which is called the hypothalamus.
So the hypothalamus is like the body's thermostat, right?
Exactly. The hypothalamus receives the signal and compares your current temperature to the set point, which is your normal body temperature.
Mm-hmm.
And if your temperature is too high, the hypothalamus activates mechanisms to cool you down, like increasing blood flow to the skin's surface and triggering sweating.
So it's like a chain reaction, with each step leading to the next to bring your body back into balance.
Precisely. And once your body temperature returns to the set point, the hypothalamus shuts off those cooling mechanisms, preventing you from overcooling.
Okay.
And that's the essence of negative feedback.
Right.
The response counteracts the initial change, keeping things balanced.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it, It helps to fine-tune our internal systems, making sure that things don't swing too far in either direction.
It's like a constant tug of war,
Yeah.
keeping everything in equilibrium. But what about those positive feedback loops that you mentioned? They sound a bit more chaotic.
They can be, but they're also essential for certain processes. Unlike negative feedback, positive feedback actually amplifies the initial change, moving the system further away from the set point.
Okay, that sounds kind of counterintuitive. Why would the body want to do that?
So think about childbirth. As labor begins, the baby's head pushes against the cervix, causing it to stretch. This stretching sends signals to the brain, which releases a hormone called oxytocin.
Okay, so oxytocin is involved in labor. I've heard of that.
It's a key player. Oxytocin causes the uterus to contract even more forcefully, pushing the baby further down and stretching the cervix even more. This leads to more oxytocin release, even stronger contractions, and so on. It's a cycle that builds on itself until the baby is born.
So positive feedback is like a snowball effect,
Yeah,
pushing the process forward until it reaches a specific endpoint.
exactly. Another example is blood clotting. When you get a cut, the body needs to stop the bleeding quickly.
Right.
Damaged blood vessels release chemicals that activate platelets, which start to clump together to form a clot. As more platelets are activated, they release even more of these chemicals, accelerating the clotting process until the bleeding is stopped.
So like a chain reaction, with each step amplifying the previous one. But if positive feedback keeps amplifying things, how does it ever stop? Wouldn't it just spiral out of control?
That's a great question. And it highlights the importance of control mechanisms. In the case of childbirth, the positive feedback loop ends when the baby is born,
Right.
removing the stimulus that was causing the cervix to stretch. Similarly, blood clotting stops when the damaged blood vessel is sealed, preventing further platelet activation.
That makes sense. So both negative and positive feedback loops are essential for maintaining the body's delicate balance. It's like a complex dance between these opposing forces.
A beautiful analogy. And it's important to remember that homeostasis is not just about individual systems working in isolation. It's about the integration and coordination of all the body systems working together.
That sounds incredibly complex. How do we even begin to understand how all these systems interact?
It's certainly a challenge, but that's where the study of anatomy and physiology comes in.
Right.
By learning about the structure and function of each organ system, we can start to piece together how they all contribute to overall health and well-being.
This is all starting to make so much sense, but I have to admit, I'm still a bit fuzzy on the difference between anatomy and physiology. It feels like they're so intertwined, it's hard to separate them.
It's understandable. They are indeed inseparable.
Yeah.
But perhaps thinking about it in terms of a specific example might help. Let's consider the hand. Anatomically, we see bones, joints, tendons, muscles, all beautifully structured to allow movement.
It's like a complex system of levers and pulleys.
Precisely. But physiology explains how those levers and pulleys work together to produce a grip, to write, to play an instrument. It's about the coordinated contraction and relaxation of muscles, the signals sent from the brain through nerves, the energy provided by cellular processes.
So anatomy is like a blueprint, and physiology is the construction crew that brings the blueprint to life.
A great analogy. And just like with the hand, understanding both structure and function is crucial for understanding any part of the body, from a tiny cell to a complex organ system.
It's like looking at a map versus actually traveling the terrain. The map gives you the lay of the land, but you need to experience the journey to truly understand the landscape.
Exactly. And just as a traveler needs both a map and a guide to navigate a new territory, healthcare professionals need to understand both anatomy and physiology to diagnose and treat health issues.
So for our listeners who are starting their access to higher education courses, Why is it so crucial for them to grasp these concepts?
A solid grasp of anatomy and physiology is essential for success in many healthcare-related fields.
Okay.
It's the foundation upon which they'll build their knowledge of specific diseases, treatments, and patient care.
So it's like learning the alphabet before you can write a novel.
A perfect analogy. It gives them the vocabulary, the concepts, and the framework to understand more complex topics they'll encounter in their courses.
It's like giving them the keys to unlock a whole new world of knowledge.
Exactly. And beyond their studies, understanding anatomy and physiology can empower them to make informed decisions about their own health and well-being.
Right, because when you understand how your body works, you're better equipped to take care of it.
Absolutely, and that's something we should all strive for.
Yeah, it's amazing to think that something as complex as the human body can maintain this delicate balance day in and day out. It makes you appreciate the intricate design and the power of nature.
Absolutely, and that appreciation deepens when we understand how things can go wrong.
Yeah,
How disruptions in homeostasis can lead to disease.
that's a great point. So how can understanding anatomy and physiology help us make sense of those disruptions and their impact on our health?
Okay, let's take the example of diabetes. This condition arises from problems with the hormone insulin, which regulates blood sugar levels.
Right. Insulin helps our cells absorb glucose from the bloodstream for energy.
Exactly. In type 1 diabetes, the body's immune system mistakenly attacks the cells in the pancreas that produce insulin.
Okay.
And without enough insulin, glucose builds up in the bloodstream, leading to a cascade of health problems.
So in this case, the disruption is at the cellular level, impacting the production of a vital hormone.
Precisely. And in type 2 diabetes, the body becomes resistant to insulin,
Okay.
meaning the cells don't respond to it properly. Again, this leads to elevated blood sugar levels.
So understanding the underlying mechanisms of diabetes, the anatomy and physiology of the pancreas, insulin production, and glucose regulation is crucial for developing effective treatments, right?
Absolutely. And it also highlights the interconnectedness of different organ systems.
Right.
For instance, uncontrolled diabetes can damage blood vessels, nerves, and organs like the kidneys and eyes.
That's like a ripple effect,
Yeah.
with the initial disruption spreading outwards and impacting other systems.
A perfect analogy. And that's why a holistic understanding of anatomy and physiology is so crucial in healthcare. It allows us to see the bigger picture and understand how seemingly isolated problems can have widespread effects.
This is also fascinating, but I have to admit, it can feel a bit overwhelming at times. There's so much to learn. Any advice for our has access to higher education listeners who are just starting their journey into the world of anatomy and physiology?
My first piece of advice would be to embrace the challenge. Don't be intimidated by the complexity. Instead, approach it with curiosity and a sense of wonder. The human body is a remarkable machine, and the more you learn about it, the more you'll appreciate its intricacies.
Curiosity is key. What else can help them on their learning journey?
Focus on building a strong foundation. Start with the basics, the levels of organization, the major organ systems, and the principles of homeostasis. Once you have a solid grasp of these concepts, you can start to delve deeper into specific systems and processes.
It's like building a house. You need a strong foundation before you can add the walls and roof.
Yeah.
Any other tips for our eager learners?
Don't be afraid to ask questions. If something doesn't make sense, don't just gloss over it. Reach out to your professors, tutors, or classmates for clarification. The more you engage with the material, the better you'll understand it.
It's all about active learning, not just passively absorbing information.
Exactly. And remember that learning about the human body is a lifelong endeavor. New discoveries are being made all the time, and our understanding is constantly evolving. So stay curious, keep exploring, and never stop learning.
That's fantastic advice. I think our deep dive today has provided a great starting point for higher accountality, access to higher education listeners. We've explored the foundational concepts of anatomy and physiology, highlighted the importance of homeostasis, and even touched on how this knowledge can help us understand disease.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure sharing my insights with you and our listener.
And for our listeners, remember, your body is an incredible machine. Take care of it, and it will take care of you. Keep exploring, keep learning, and we'll see you on our next deep dive.